York Mets are just not stopping this offseason, Nate. They have acquired pitcher Taijuan Walker from the Toronto Blue Jays. So, in his 2020 season, right-hander Taijuan Walker, who's 28 years old, had a 4-3 record with a combined 2.7 ERA and 50 strikeouts in 53 innings for the Seattle Mariners and the Toronto Blue Jays. Excuse me. He played for both teams last year. And here's the thing I feel like is the best thing about Taiwan's game. He has a 5 pitch repertoire, Nate. He has a 93-mile-per-hour fastball, and he has a mix of sliders, splitters, sinkers, and curveballs. And you're a pitcher, Nate, so you understand how important that is to have like those 5 pitches in your toolbox to actually just go in and pitch. And he's joining a New York Mets team with pitchers Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Stroman, and David Peterson. And the source for this was ESPN News Sources. And there is a quote from Mets manager Luis Rojas. He said, "A guy like him, it just makes your rotation so strong when you can add him." And so yeah, that's basically all I gotta say about that. That's basically all the information we have here. And I'm gonna pass it on to you, Nate. Your thoughts on Taijuan Walker joining the New York Mets?
Yeah, man. Congratulations to Taiwan Walker and the New York Mets. I wish both the best of luck. I don't know if you mentioned this, but the deal is worth is a 2 year deal worth $20 million. I don't know if you mentioned that. Um,
Right. Thank you.
yeah. Um, Obviously, 4-3 with a 2.7 ERA. Is that the best? No, but it was a shortened season. So again, like a lot of players, I'll let it slide. But again, this year you got a 462 season, so you got you can only see how he's gonna do. But I gotta be honest, in a world where all the baseballs are flying out of the ballpark like it's nobody's business, a 2.7 ERA isn't that bad. I mean, obviously we say how we all expect pitchers to be with an ERA under 2, which yeah, it's fine, but like you can't put that expectation on this generation of baseball. I mean, 100 years ago, yeah, because like the only guy that was hitting the home runs back then was Babe Ruth, but now everybody's hitting the home runs. Like those things are flying out the park. Like, it's crazy. You can make an argument that the balls are juice, but I'm not gonna go into that right now. One thing that really impresses me about Taiwan Walker, like you said, 5 pitches. That's impressive. A lot of starting pitchers have like 3 or 4 pitches. I have 4 of them. So, but to have 5 of them, that's very impressive. And to have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, is it the fastest? No. I mean, we're in an age where everybody throws a 99, 100 miles an hour these days. The 93 miles an hour is still fast, and I think that's really cool too. I think that's a good thing to have a slower fastball because in this day and age where the majority of pitchers throwing are fastballs, like I said, they're all going somewhere between 96 and 100 miles an hour. So they expect that speed. So for your speed to be below that, will throw off the catcher. That's why the batter, excuse me. But that's why a lot of guys get thrown off by pitches like changeups and sinkers and sliders and all that and curveballs because not only do they move a lot, they have a lot of ball movement, but they're also very slow. You don't expect the speed to drop. You expect the speed to accelerate. But that doesn't happen with this. So the fact that he has a bit of a slower fastball, I think that'll work in his favor. Because that's something a lot of batters don't usually expect these days. Given all these guys like Aroldis Chapman and um uh the dude from the Cardinals, I forgot his name, Jordan Fisher or something. I don't think that's his last name. I don't know, but that's just something like that. Jordan Hicks, excuse me, Jordan Hicks, that's his name. They all throw like 105 miles an hour. Nick Eovaldi throws a little over 100 miles an hour. Chris Sale did it a few times before he got injured. Uh, and Walker Buehler's doing it too. Walker Buehler's throwing at 100 miles an hour. So you got all these pitchers in the league now. And usually throwing 100 miles an hour was for something bullpen pitchers did. But now it's applying to everybody. You know what I mean? Whether you're a starting pitcher, a closer, or reliever, it's no matter what kind of pitcher you are. So I think 93 miles an hour will work in his favor. And another thing that will work in his favor is all the other pitches that he has: sliders, splitters, sinkers, curveballs. That's gonna work in his favor. That really is because, like I said before, a lot of starting pitchers only have 3 or 4 pitches to resort to. But the fact that he has 5 means that he has more options if all else fails. So good for him, man. Um, as for the Mets rotation, honestly, this is one of the most underrated pitching staffs in the entire league. Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Stroman, Noah Syndergaard, David Peterson. It doesn't get any better than that, man. It really doesn't. And I said it the other day with Kevin Pillar. I will be disappointed. This will be the most disappointed team of the year if they don't make the playoffs. So with that said, good luck to Taiwan Walker and congratulations to him and the New York Mets.
Yeah, I'll take off from there. First of all, congratulations to Taiwan Walker on signing with the New York Mets. I really like this signing there. I really like it. I'm telling you, when I found out about this dude, I really like this signing by the New York Mets. And the reason why is yes, he has 5 pitches, and that's great. Yes, he has a 2.7 ERA, and that's great too. Here's the thing though, not many people have heard of this guy. I love the under the radar guys who are just so
Yeah,
good
yeah,
hitting
that's something I
and
forgot to mention.
coming because everybody's looking for these high paying guys and you spend millions and millions on them just by their name. You know what I'm saying? Taijuan Walker, you don't really know him too much. You get him for 2 years, 20 million. That's a steal right there. If he can perform these types of numbers in New York, that's gonna be a bad team, man. That's gonna be a bad team. Then you have the Mets, the Padres, and the Dodgers all in that triangle for the NL championship. That's what you have. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. I want to give you like a nice little fact. Taijuan Walker, the largest ERA he has had in his whole career, Nate, was a 4.56 back in 2015. Okay. He had a 1.37 ERA in Toronto. He had a 4.0 ERA in Seattle. Now, obviously, Seattle, what do you call it? His season, 2020 season in Seattle didn't match the 2020 season in Toronto. But you could see a lot of upside in Taijuan Walker. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely see that upside in him. It's all going to come down to whether you could perform. What numbers are you going to perform? The 1.37 that you did in Toronto, or the 4.0 that you did in Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Um, his career record is 35 and 34. This dude's been a pro. This dude's been a pro since 2013. So surprisingly, so for the fact that he's been here this long, that he's going into his 8th season, and nobody's heard of him, or not many people know about this guy, I think that's a real steal for the New York Mets right there. And the New York Mets are making great, great acquisitions this offseason. We talked about it. The Padres, we think, won this offseason. The Dodgers, I think, got the best pick this offseason. The Mets have been doing more. You understand what I mean? The Mets have been making more acquisitions. The Padres have won this offseason when they took Yu Darvish and Blake Snell. The Dodgers took probably the biggest name in Trevor Bauer. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at those 3 teams, though, the Mets I feel like are making the most moves. We're always talking about the Mets and how they're getting these guys for this rate, this guy for this rate. You get what I'm saying? And so they just keep on doing it. Now, I think Taijuan Walker could be the third, fourth pitcher in this rotation. I really do truly believe it. Will he start that way? No, but I think during the season, if he puts up those like Toronto numbers, he will be the third guy in that rotation. Obviously, you got your ace, Jacob DeGrom, and then you got your second pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. So then the question is, who's that third pitcher? And it could be Carlos Carrasco. I understand that, but we don't know how he's going to come back after. We don't know how exactly he's going to come back. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, it's up to Taijuan. So Taijuan Walker, it's his faith in New York relies on how he plays in New York. It's as simple as that. If you're gonna play like the Seattle Mariner, if you're gonna play like the Seattle Mariner in 2020, where you get a 4 ERA, you might end up being the fifth guy in that rotation. You might not even be in the rotation. It might drop you down the bullpen. If you're gonna play like the Toronto 2020 Taijuan Walker, you might end up seeing your guy as a third pitcher in that rotation. And I absolutely agree with you, Nate. The New York Mets have one of the most underrated lineups in the game. They have one of the most underrated rotations in the game. They have a great, great team, And again, we usually name who's on the teams, but at this point, everybody should know. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, if this team does not make it to the playoffs, this is probably one of the most disappointing teams in New York in MLB history. But that's what any of those 3 teams in that triangle, whether it's the Padres, the Mets, or the Dodgers. If one of those teams don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a very disappointing season. You know? So, I mean, with that being said, Taijuan Walker, best of luck to you, New York, and best of luck to the New York Mets. And I can't wait to see how these teams play coming into the MLB 2021 season.